Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, March 10th, 2022. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Although St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been able to cushion the economic impact of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, the island is likely to feel negative effects in the near future. This is the view expressed by senior lecturer in political science and international relations at the University of the West Indies Caville campus, Dr. George Brathwaite. Speaking to SVG-TV News via Zoom today, Dr. Brathwaite said SVG and other countries in the region should brace for negative impact as a result of the Russian invasion in Ukraine and the resulting sanctions being imposed on Russia by many countries, including the US, UK, and in the region, Antigua and Barbuda and St. Kitts and Nevis.
We've been warned, certainly for the last 6 months and more expressly in the last 2-3 months, and we saw the trends in terms of rising oil and gas prices alongside rising commodity prices, particularly in relation to wheat and grain and stuff like that. I would say that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been doing particularly well to hold off not raising prices, but it is now inevitable, particularly as Russia feels the weight of the sanctions, as there's turmoil, and the EU is meeting it right now to see, looking at other alternatives besides Russian oil and gas. We know places like Iran and Saudi Arabia are likely to play hardball and fluctuate differently. We know that the US is in talks with Venezuela. So the reality is there's a lot of uncertainty.
Dr. Brathwaite noted that while the Dr. Ralph Gonsalves-led administration has not taken action against Russia, he has already made his position clear on the matter, which is important.
If we reflect back on the letter written by the same Prime Minister Gonsalves, you'll recognize that while he respects the sovereignty of Russia, he expressed his concern, a concern that has been expressed throughout the Caribbean. Gonsalves, while he recognizes his respect for another sovereign entity, and he might even respect the fact that St. Vincent and Grenadines did have a relation with Russia, regardless of how minimal, he also respects international law.
The UWI senior lecturer also commented on the recent development of a Russian-owned luxury yacht being docked in Port Kingston. He said while the government has not implemented any sanctions of its own, it will do well to abide by the sanctions already implemented by other countries.
While the yacht might be there, one has to question not the fact that it is a Russian yacht or a Russian registered yacht, but is it on a sanctions list? And if it is on a sanctions list, at what point in time did the government of the St. Vincent and Grenadines recognize this? Timing has a lot to do with this, and what is known to the government or the governments of the region, and in this case, St. Vincent and Grenadines. So the idea is that St. Vincent and Grenadines would have to get the list of the firms, the oligarchs, the various institutions that are sanctioned, and this distance, not having that problem.
On the radio last Sunday, Prime Minister Gonsalves gave the assurance that all the necessary security procedures were followed to grant permission for the luxury vessel to dock in SVG waters. He said the government was given adequate notice by the Antiguan port authorities about the yacht's intended arrival to SVG, and they conducted thorough background checks. PM Gonsalves also revealed the owner of the vessel was not an SVG on business and has had no ties with Russia in recent times. President of the SVG Consumer Association, Junior Bacchus, is calling on the government to implement measures to protect Vincentians from the expected rise in food and oil prices. Speaking to SVG-TV News today, Bacchus said that the war between Russia and Ukraine is expected to have a ripple effect here in SVG. He urged the government to formulate a plan to observe the increase in prices, especially as it relates to the cost of fuel.
Everybody who have experienced war, especially from an oil-rich country, would recognize that with the impact of oil shortages, the prices will go up. And once the price of oil goes up, you're going to have the direct implication on transportation. Yeah, but personal consumers have to brace for increased prices. The government could reduce VAT to allow persons to be able to meet the expected increase in costs. There are some states in the United States that decided to reduce.
Backers said the price of wheat is expected to rise and that SVG may have to search for a new supplier of grains. He, however, urged consumers not to depend on imported goods.
The demand for wheat increased, and Canada, who supply our wheat here in St. Vincent, has to, go and sell wheat to other countries that Ukraine used to supply. So the solution is to eat as much of our local commodities and reduce our dependence on imported goods. The imported goods naturally is going to go up because the freight cost will go up.
In other news, the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, participated in the Caribbean Wave Tsunami Evacuation Exercise earlier today from capital Kingston. The main objective of the Tsunami Evacuation Exercise is to test the tsunami inundation evacuation plans developed for Kingston under the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization and its Caribbean Tsunami Information Center Tsunami Recognition Program. The participants included staff from the Bank of SVG, the National Insurance Services, the SVG Port Authority and the Ministry of National Security, who were informed prior to the exercise on what to expect.
Simmons and again the opportunity to test communications and just the way in which we function once we receive that message from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. So we're able to get some practice and get the persons at the NUSC familiar with the procedures at the NUSC. And also we work along with the organizations in town, Bank of SVG, NIS, Ministry of National Security and Port. And they were the participants today. They evacuated to this point at Church of Ascension Cyanil. And also we had those persons from National Security arriving at Intermediate High School.
Shortly after 10 a.m. this morning, an alert went out to the various participating entities indicating that a tsunami was approaching and thus they needed to evacuate the area. SVGTV News team met up with one of the participants of the exercise who noted, in his view, it was a success.
This morning we participated in a tsunami evacuation drill that was put on by the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO. They would have reached out to us and informed us that this was in the pipeline and something that they wanted to do. So they had a seminar with us where they informed us in terms of what to expect. During that seminar, they taught us how to establish an evacuation plan, to establish our point persons. We were informed of the route that was designated for our organization. So at about 10:15 this morning, we got the alert that the tsunami was happening, and immediately our plan kicked into place. We started moving through the back door and up through that alley, like I said, and we are here now at the Church of Ascension. Our team took roughly about 15 to 20 minutes for everyone to arrive, and I think overall it's been a very fulfilling experience. We've definitely learned a lot. We've seen where we need to improve, and shout out to the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, for this exercise.
Deputy Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Kenson Stoddard, said the exercise today was to give the stakeholders a better understanding of where their business operates in relation to the tsunami risk, noting that a larger exercise is planned for later this year.
It's at the service to anyone in Simmons and the Grenadines. So if you want us to come in and work with you on your protocols, your standard operating procedures, we are at your service. However, in November, there's a plan to have a larger scale exercise, and we hope that we could have more entities on board, setting up their standard operating procedures, working along with us, so that November, when we celebrate World Tsunami Day, you will participate in our activities. So that's the plan. This was a small scale event, and we wanted to see how it would work. And now we have an idea. We could go back to the drawing board, iron out some of the kinks, and hopefully come better.
That had noted that with the exception of minor communication delays and getting persons familiar with the equipment which are expected in such situation, everything went well for today's exercise.
Most of our concerns or the issues that we have would more along the line of communication, and we're still trying to iron out our communication mechanism. You know, we have our emergency communication network that is just up and running. But we saw a decent flow in terms of communication, just to get persons familiar with using the radios and so on. There was a small delay between the calls when they were made to the different organizations. And so those things are expected sometimes when you're swamped. But we, in the tsunami, we like to advise persons if there's an earthquake of a significant magnitude where you won't be able to stand, for example, you should evacuate, you should go to higher ground. So we call that looking out for the natural signs.
Carib Wave is a Caribbean-wide tsunami exercise led by the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, and the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. The High Court today handed down a ruling in the case brought by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, the Public Service Union and the Police Welfare Association challenging the government's vaccination policy. Judge Esco Henry today ruled that the union does not have grounds to challenge the vaccination mandate, which was passed in an act of parliament last year. However, the court ruling does allow for the review of the way in which teachers, nurses, police officers and other public sector workers were dismissed from their jobs for failing to take the COVID-19 vaccine. A lawyer representing the unions, Jomo Thomas, told SVGTV News he considers the ruling to be in favor of the dismissed public servants.
Essentially, we got what we wanted. We wanted the judicial review. And the way in which judicial review operates, we had to apply for leave. The court is saying, yes, you can judicial review the government's plan or the government's decision to institute the vaccination program, but you can review sections 8.1, 8.2, particularly as it regards to the grounds of illegality, procedural impropriety, and proportionality. Those were precisely what we had.
Thomas added the unions believe that the way in which the government implemented the mandate was illegal and they will be submitting their claims for judicial review in due course.
What the workers want to know, bottom line, is that even if the court rules that the minister has authority to institute the program, the question is whether it was instituted properly. And we are arguing it was not instituted properly, and it amounts to illegality and should be declared null and void, that it's procedurally improper, in that the way in which the government the government and the police went about doing it was improper. And we are also saying it was disproportionate, that all things considered, the government did not proportionally apply its authority to do what it intends to do.
And President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, said he is happy their legal team made some success in the case, with the judge granted leave to apply for judicial review.
The court was heard today under the auspices of the Eastern Caribbean Court. Justice Henry made a ruling in favor of the workers, in favor of the union. It's a victory for our team. We work as a team, our lawyers, the claimants, and the unions. So this is teamwork at its best, and we are very happy that we have crossed the first hurdle. So the judge has granted us leave to apply for judicial review, of the minister's decision to make Rule 8.1 and 8.2 of the SRNO and number 28 of the 2021, which is limited to the legality, procedural impropriety, and proportionality. The leave for judicial review of the Public Service Commission and the Chief Commissioner of Police decisions to terminate the respective applicants' employment is granted to us also. So it means that we are going to go forward with those what the Public Service Commission did and the Commissioner of Police. We are going forward with those.
Robinson said the court ordered that the applicants file and serve their claim for judicial review within 14 days, and a date will be set soon with the involved parties for the first hearing of the application for judicial review.
We are to submit our claim for this judicial review within 14 days as of today's date. The first hearing of the application for judicial review is scheduled to a date in April or May. So here is where both parties, the government side and our side, we have to look at a convenient date, and that date will be fixed by the registrar in consultation with the parties. So that is where we are going to go forward again to deal in a much more elaborate and even much more comprehensive way, presented all other necessary evidences as we continue to advocate for workers' rights in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Robinson asked the affected workers to be patient and continue to pray through the current circumstances.
I want to say to the workers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the teacher, this is a sigh of relief for us. We look forward that we are going to.
The Gekko River 14 Recreation Park was officially handed over today. The $1.3 million project, which was a joint collaboration between Gekko and the United Nations GIF Small Grant Program, aims to promote ecotourism in the area. Given an overview of the project and the handing over ceremony was President of Gekko, Cecilia Williams, who said that the team at Gekko is pleased to have transformed the area into a people-friendly environment.
We have completed this magnificent project for the enjoyment of all our people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Today, we have witnessed what cooperation and collaboration have accomplished. Many thanks to all the stakeholders who were responsible for the transformation of this stretch of land, especially Brother Fillmore Isaac, who spearheaded the effort. I am sure you will agree with me that the ambience at Gekko River 14 Recreational Park is nothing but relaxing. Here you will experience for yourself nature at its best as you hear the river flowing in the background, coupled with the chirping of the birds in the trees, while you enjoy South River's boil up from the pot.
Williams is encouraging persons who will be visiting the site to take care of it.
I wish to make one special request. I ask every one of you to take care of this park. You are now stakeholders in this expanse of land. Please do your best to preserve the beauty of River 14 Recreational Park so that generations to come can enjoy what the park has to offer. I therefore encourage the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and visitors alike to visit Gekko's River 14 Recreational Park.
The UNDP GIF Small Grant Program, which has been supporting civil society programs and community-based organizations to take action to address global environment and sustainable development challenges, provided over 400,000 EC dollars towards the project. Local coordinator Tashika Haynes Bob outlined the program's involvement in the project, which he said met their goals of safeguarding the global environment.
Aim to improve conservation and sustainable use of threatened ecosystems and species in priority landscapes, including the management of protected areas, corridors, river basins, etc. And we would have accomplished that in this project where we would have educated the farmers about more ecologically friendly farming, and we would have also done some river stabilization at the northern end of the site. We look at low carbon energy access co-benefits, and so this is in line with larger frameworks such as the Sustainable Development Goals and the National Determined Contributions. The objective of this initiative is to demonstrate and scale up viable low carbon technologies, including renewable energies, energy efficient technologies, and approaches that improve community energy access by working with the private sector and the government.
The 20th edition of Gospel Fest will be held virtually from Sunday, March 13th to Sunday, May 1st, 2022, under the theme A Glorious Celebration of the Gospel of Jesus Christ. The launch of this year's festival on Tuesday, March 8th heard remarks from the festival chairman Leroy Brown, Chief Cultural Officer in the Department of Culture, Maxine Brown, and Marketing Executive of Digicel, Carissa Taylor. The festival will feature gospel artists and songs, dances, dramatizations, poetries, instrumentals, and Bible quizzes, among others. The showcase this year will be, for the first time, see a drama praise segment, a youth night of artists under 15 years old, and denominational concerts. The 2022 Gospel Festival is being sponsored by Digicel with several co-sponsors. All events will be held virtually and streamed live via the Digicel Playgo app and on the SVG Gospel Fest Facebook page. Vincentians are being given the opportunity to show their creativity and tell their story by participating in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Special Edition Literary Arts Competition 2022. The competition is held under the theme Charting Resilience, Recording Recovery, and seeks to encourage participants to hone their writing skills by utilizing the opportunity to document experiences from the 2021 explosive eruptions of La Soufrière volcano and the aftermath. The competition is open to all Vincentians from age 9. The categories of the competition are short story, essay, narrative poetry, and pictorial narrative. In each category, participants may submit entries in the appropriate age group: envoys 9 to 13 years, ambassadors 14 to 18 years, and diplomats 19 years and older. The ministry is encouraging all Vincentians to participate in these competitions. All entries must be submitted by 5 p.m. on April 8th, 2022 via email to wcidcompetitions2022@gmail.com. To view the terms and conditions and the flyers for each category and for additional information, including the cash prices for these competitions, you are asked to visit the ministry social media pages and website. The SVG Police Force has issued a wanted person bulletin for Jeffrey Super Soup Coffee of Camden Park. The police said the subject is wanted in connection with various offenses and is considered armed and very dangerous. Anyone with information as to his whereabouts are asked to contact the officer in charge at CID, CRO, MCU at telephone numbers 45-61810 or 45-71211, extension 222, 223, 224, 225, 226, 227, or 228, or any police station. The police say calls will be treated in confidence and you can remain anonymous.